Almost everybody around me was holding on to something that someone said about them in a way that it held them back. And I didn't want to allow anything to hold me back. And so I was like, bump it, I'm gonna be outrageous. I want to wake up every day and be like, you are a badass.
Right.
And so I said, I'm gonna be a rocket scientist. And we have to take control of the narrative because you do not have to physically enslave someone if you allow them to enslave themselves in their mind. And so we must break free. We must know that we are brilliant, that we are black, that we are beautiful, and we are capable, and we can do anything we set our mind to. My goal is to be a bedtime story. I want people to tell their children about me at night. And I want it to be an exciting story. I want it to be a nail biter like, wait, what? She was in community college, and she didn't think she could make it. And in order to do that, I had to have a period.
Right.
And space is that period.
All right, y'all, we're back with another episode of BET Talks. I'm your host, Miabelle, and it is my pleasure to introduce aerospace engineer, founder, CEO, STEM advocate, and inspiration to black girls all around the world, Aisha Bowe. You're going to space. Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Are you going to wear this dress on the aircraft going up?
Something fitting.
Okay.
But not quite this.
Now before we dig into everything about you, of course, and the journey that you're going to embark, I do want to play a little game. Actually, you're going to be teaching me about your favorite black astronauts, because you told me how many in total?
Well, we have 8 women.
Now name 3 of your faves.
They're all my favorites.
Okay, I love that answer.
All my favorites. I want to start with the first,
Yes.
May, because she broke so many barriers for us. And then you have Joni and Stephanie.
Yes.
You have Jessica and Keisha.
Okay.
You have Cyan. You have Anastasia. And you have Aisha and Gail.
Yay! And that's who we're really excited to see. I know that your past did not foresee this as your future. Talk to me about Aisha as a young girl and what you were over there doing.
I was cutting class. I was up to no good. And it's funny because now when I talk to kids, I literally bring out my high school transcript. If there's ever a parent in the room, they're like, you definitely would have gone to bed hungry. I wasn't focused. I didn't understand why I needed to learn about things like Mesopotamia when I felt like my personal life was falling apart. And so my high school guidance counselor suggested that I pursue cosmetology.
Right.
I'm pretty sure she regrets that. I lightly shade the school. I send them things so that they understand that you should not restrict someone's dreams based off of a piece of paper.
Right.
That is a very 2D representation of someone's life. I was in community college and I was talking to people who went back to school. And what I realized was that almost everybody around me was holding on to something that someone said about them in a way that it held them back.
Right.
And I didn't want to allow anything to hold me back. And so I was like, bump it, I'm gonna be outrageous. I'm gonna be ridiculous. I want to wake up every day and be like, you are a badass.
Right.
And so I said, I'm gonna be a rocket scientist. And I asked God, I said, dear Lord, if I can do this thing, I will know that dreams are real, and I will dedicate my life to sharing my dream with everybody in the hopes they do the same.
So there was nothing before then that kind of really spearheaded that journey.
I mean, I went from a 2.3 in high school to community college to pre-algebra in community college and 2 degrees in aerospace from one of the best schools in the world.
Who poured into you? Who told you that you were smart? Who really gave you, the confidence to be able to go forth?
My dad. When my dad found out that this guidance counselor limited my dream, he had some things to say. They did not invite him back. No. They were like, sir, you cannot, because he definitely went there and he cut up.
Of course.
And, this paralleled his life journey. I mean, he came from the Bahamas in search of higher education. And he went back and got an engineering degree at 40.
Wow.
And electrical engineering. And, he'd be sitting there after work, tired, and he would be working on his calculus problems. And he would say, Aisha, you cannot allow others to define you. You define you.
Right.
And he challenged me, and I didn't think I could do it. But I started small, and what I started to realize was that you can accomplish anything that you allow yourself to.
Absolutely.
And we have to take control of the narrative, especially in today's world. We're hearing so much and it is just noise. Because you do not have to physically enslave someone if you allow them to enslave themselves in their mind. And so we must break free. We must know that we are brilliant, that we are black, that we are beautiful, and we are capable, and we can do anything we set our mind to.
Now, this brings me to your relationship with Mom, who is in the building today. Hey, Mom. Looking beautiful, of course.
Yes.
Now, what did she think of all of this? When you said, this is what I'm going to pursue, what was Mom's idea?
My mom has been an incredible source of inspiration and support. And what I've really loved about this journey is that I set out to pour into myself. And what I realized is that everything around me has flourished.
Right.
And so when I went to NASA and I started working, she was so proud. And when I transitioned from NASA, we did have a speed bump. We had a little hiccup. And, you know, I love Mom, right? But sometimes you can't tell people your dreams.
Right.
You have to show them. When I decided to leave my government job, she was like, I don't know about that. I just don't, I don't think so.
Because that's a good job, girl. I might have told you the same thing.
I know. And it was one of those things where it was like, I think you have retirement. And I was like, look. I cannot sacrifice the future for the present.
Right.
And I told her, one day, I'm going to start a business. And one day, you're going to be proud of me and understand what was in me was bigger than this brand. It's bigger than this entire job. It is about transformation. Right. It's about progress. And so I started my first business 12 years ago. We have twice been on the Inc. 5000 list as one of the fastest growing companies in America.
Accomplished.
And when I went to start my second business, my mom raised her hand, and she's Employee of the Month every month.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
She's my favorite employee, and she said, you know what? I saw what you did, and I'm gonna dedicate myself to doing the best possible job. She went to the library and took classes on Excel spreadsheets.
Wow.
She decided that she was gonna learn Shopify. It wasn't that she wanted to limit my dream. It was that she wanted me to feel safe.
Yeah.
It was that she didn't want me to feel disappointed, and that she hadn't seen what I was talking about. She hadn't seen a black woman running multiple companies and making millions of dollars and pouring into society in this way.
Right.
And so she wanted me to do what she thought I could be happy doing. I'm so grateful that I get up every day and I get to work in a company that I love. I'm headed to space and I get to do it with my mom.
That's beautiful. Now I want you to break down these companies that you have too, so that we understand everything that you put forth, because you created this from a vision that lived in your head.
So when I was at NASA, one of my favorite things to do was to go and talk to students.
Right.
And so I would raise my hand whenever we get a speaking request. But I could barely get to the job because kids were so shocked to see me. They're like, you're wearing makeup. I'm like, yes, we wear makeup. And they're like, you look young. I'm like, I'm older than you, for sure. And then they would ask me, well, where did you go to school and how'd you get there? I had to carry my degrees. The kids did not believe that I had aerospace degrees. They wanted to see them. I was like, I didn't need to show a degree to get this job.
Right.
I had to bring a transcript. And what I started to understand was that I did not fit whatever idea they had of what an engineer looked like.
Right.
And so I started to challenge the kids to draw me an engineer. And they would always draw a white man in a lab coat. And I would tell them, I know there's a brown crayon in that box. Go get it. I'm in front of you. Draw me. And I realized that I needed to create something where people could see me. Because after these visits, I would start to get notes. And in fact, I got a note from a 9-year-old earlier today that said, I saw you talking to Gail King.
Wow.
And I'm gonna lead the mission to Mars. And I'm practicing. And my favorite astronaut is May. And thank you for letting people know that we dream of this too. 9 years old, texted me before school. But that is the impact that I had when I was at NASA. And after I started getting all these cards, I said, Aisha, we need to do two things. We need to start a company that is technically strong so people know that they can do it too. And two, we need to dedicate ourselves to this mission of education. And it's not a national focus, it's a global focus.
Right.
And over the course of the last 12 years, that's what we've done. I have engineers right now that are supporting special operations forces. We help manage the nuclear stockpile. We work on AI, data science, and machine learning. And then we take off our capes, we go into the community, and we teach hands-on skills to people so that they know that tech includes them too.
And now we're using all of these skills too to take us to the next level. Now, when you decided you were going to space, I want you to lead us through that process. Did you have to consult with anybody? What were you thinking in your head as far as, this is something that I want to do? How do you tell mom?
I was asking myself, what would I do if I knew I could not fail? Because I think as an adult, we have to remind ourselves to keep evolving and keep dreaming. I had gotten comfortable. I started one company. I survived that. We're 12 years in. I started another business. I am surviving that. We're a couple years in. And I said, you know what, Aisha? There's one dream left that you're afraid to vocalize.
Right.
And that's that you want to go to space. My goal is to be a bedtime story. I want people to tell their children about me at night. And I want it to be an exciting story. I want it to be a joyful story. I want it to be a nail biter like, wait, what? She was in community college and she didn't think she could make it. And now her face is in the hall of the school. And in order to do that, I had to have a period, an exclamation point, something that was an inflection.
Right.
And space is that period. It is that exclamation.
Yeah.
It is that thing. And it is a vehicle to share the story with the world. And while I would love it if everyone became an aerospace engineer, what I want people to know is that I was told that I couldn't, I shouldn't, and I can't, and I did. So what is it that you've been told that you cannot do that you can?
So who made the call? How do we get to go to space? Like, how did that work?
You know, some things are just divine timing. My first week of work at NASA, I met a woman by the name of Nancy Conrad.
Okay.
Nancy Conrad is the wife of Pete Conrad, an Apollo 12 astronaut who's got a story similar to mine. He was a little rambunctious, and initially he was told that maybe he wasn't going to be good in a classical academic environment.
Right.
Pete went on to be a legend. I mean, he walked on the moon.
Yeah.
And Nancy called me up and she said, hey, I think there's a mission coming together that I think that you would be a really good fit for. And I thought I was a prank call. I'm like, space? Wait, what? I mean, it's my dream, but like, it's calling me? Like, wait, what? And when they called me, I could not stop screaming and giggling. And I told Nancy that I was going and that I was confirmed for the mission. And so she said, okay, well, we're gonna take a piece of Apollo and we're gonna bring it to you. And so she called the Museum of Flight in Seattle, and she told them to go get that flag and to pack it up and to send it to me so that I could carry Pete's flag back to space for a moment, and it could be an artifact in the museum that has 2 certificates of flown in space.
Absolutely.
One with Pete and one with me. And so I'm just delighted, I'm honored, I'm overjoyed. And it's not just Nancy. All the women I mentioned, they're with us. They're with me. So I have this WhatsApp group called Space Queens.
Okay.
And to say, hey, Jeanette, are you coming? And to know that she's going to be there. And to call Joni and know that Joni's going to be there. It means everything. It is not a me, it's a we.
Yeah. When it comes to the excitement, are there any anxieties that come along with, making this big trip?
Well, I've been planning.
Okay.
I've been practicing. I think the thing that I'm the most nervous about in a good way is that my 92-year-old grandfather is making the trip from the Bahamas.
Wow.
And when he was born in Exuma, they did not have airplanes. I mean, that technology was not there yet.
Yeah.
He used to ride his horse back and forth across the island. And now he's getting on a plane to come see me go to space.
Wow.
And I'm so excited and I'm overwhelmed for that journey because I don't know how I'm gonna keep it together, quite frankly.
Yeah. How do you prepare mentally and physically?
So this is where I get to nerd out a little bit, right? So as an aerospace engineer, I love the human spaceflight rules and regulations. And I read them, and really it's about demonstrating before you fly that you have the mental and physical capacity to fly. And so I started with G-force training.
Okay.
Like 6 Gs. And I'm kind of like faster. I have completed the human-rated centrifuge.
Okay.
Which is, like, they've trained over 500 astronauts.
Wow.
And baby, I had a good time.
What does the training entail, though? What got you doing?
So they load the data from the launch profiles.
Oh, wow.
And they basically simulate launching you. And it is so fun.
Okay.
It's a little scary at first. I feel like
Sounds
that first
scary.
one I was like, whew. But I got to practice my breathing.
Yeah.
And there are breathing techniques that fighter pilots use all the time to combat the G-forces. But they also put me in a plane. I got to fly in a fighter jet, and I got to fly the jet. Like,
wow.
rolls, baby, we rolling. And it was great, right? I was like, dive and roll. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And just a lot of going through what the mission profile looks like, because I will be conducting science on my mission.
Yeah.
I partnered with an HBCU, and we are looking at how plants respond to microgravity. We're literally genetically sequencing 6 plants. And so I wanted to make sure that I had the presence of mind to be able to conduct the science in the time that I had, and also enjoy the view.
You're going to come back with so much information for us.
Yes.
Now, talk to me about the crew. Who all is going to be on this Blue Origin? I know Gail King.
Love it.
Katy Perry.
Yes.
Tell me about the rest.
So we've got me. We've got Gail.
Yes.
We've got Katie. We have Carrie Ann,
Yes.
Lauren Sanchez, and Amanda Wynn.
Now, have you guys had a chance to, like, you know, be around each other for some time to kind of get all the jitters out, talk about what you're expecting?
I mean, literally, high school me is screaming right now. We just did a cover for Elle magazine.
Wow.
And we looked good. We looked good. I had 9 carats in my ears.
Yeah.
It was great.
I know that's right. Now, can you take the 9 carats up with you? Like,
Listen,
what is
I've
the
been
wardrobe
asking.
like
I was
in
like, you guys
space?
need some space diamonds. We need some space diamonds.
Yeah.
My God, if you can hear me.
Hair, makeup, like,
The
are
whole
you
thing.
allowed to do
The
any
whole
of
thing.
that?
This topic is so exciting
Yeah.
because I did a dry run on the hair and makeup. This holiday season, I slipped off to Dubai. Now, I love a
know
Dubai
that's
trip, right? I feel like Emirates is Santa sleigh in the sky. I had a good time, but really, I went skydiving so I could test the makeup.
Yeah.
My lashes stayed on, my makeup stayed on, everything. Now this trip, we're inside the capsule.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a strong start. The glam, the hair, everything.
Good. Because I'm looking forward to it. Space glam, space hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And edge control.
Edge
control.
Lots of
Space. Yes.
What about your space playlist? What music are you
Ooh.
listening to get you ready for it? You know it's BET, right? We talking entertainment.
Well, you know what's fun is when I was in the fighter jet, it was Kendrick.
Okay.
DNA, right? Because we
Yeah.
are genetically sequencing plants and looking at their DNA.
Absolutely.
I also had Dua Lipa, Levitating, you know. We got all this hype music to get me going.
Right.
And you couldn't have a playlist without Beyonce.
Of course. Now, I'm hearing BET is a sponsor, which is really cool.
Yes.
And of course, you know, we're here to support all Black excellence in all of the ways. Now, what are some of your BET memories that, you know, really make it fun for you to be able to say that they are a sponsor on your trip to space?
All of the BET award shows growing up, I mean, I just remember the TV channel being on BET all the time.
Were you a 106 in Park girl? Okay. Just
Yes.
gotta make sure.
And, you know, I was actually wondering, like, look, if they can hear me. Hello? Hello? Like, it's so iconic, right? It's like you would get excited to watch the show. You want to see what people were wearing. You want to understand the music, the culture.
Right.
And to be able to share this journey, which is an inflection point in culture, with the home of culture, is so exciting.
Now, I do have a personal question because I wonder what an accomplished, gorgeous, beautiful woman who's going to space, how is dating for you? How is personal life? Do you have time to, like, be alone and do things that you love? I know you're going to Dubai and, like, you know, enjoying your life, but where do you find the time? You have 2 businesses.
Well, listen, Dubai was research.
Okay.
I
Are the
love
guys intimidated?
No. Listen,
be.
I love that you were asking that question because I'm sure my future husband's probably watching BET right now. Hello.
Hello.
If you can
Look
hear me, if you can hear me, my DMs are open.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then what do you look for in a guy? Because you are just everything.
I mean, I think I really need you to be kind. I need you to be a God-fearing person who has a relationship with God. I need you to love your mom. I need you to like to cook. I need you to have a passport, please. Thank you. And I need you to like to fly. I really look for people who are kind and who understand that I think our job is to leave this world better than when we found it.
Right, absolutely. Now, before we get out of here, I do want you to give a lasting message to the young Black girls and the Black boys, too, who are seeing you and really, really inspired by the journey.
What I would say is hold on, it gets so much better. And you do have the power to change the world.
Right.
When I was younger, all the setbacks that I encountered, they felt so terminal. And now there are stories that I tell on podcasts. There's stories that I tell in interviews. All of those things were designed not to break me, they were to make me. And so if you see something, understand that one day it will all make sense. But keep pushing, keep striving, keep dreaming.
Aisha Bowe, your past doesn't determine your future.
Exactly.
Who does?
You do.
Absolutely. It's BET Talks. We're so happy to have you, and we can't wait till you get back, girl, because that's when we really gonna talk. Aisha Bowe, she's going to space.